Welcome, Martin.
Nice to be here.
Thank you. We're so glad you could come and share some of your experiences with us. And I'm looking forward to going over your life with you, and both before you came to Bridgewater and since.
Okay.
Perhaps we can start with you just talking a little bit about your family background, who your parents were, and where you were born and grew up.
Yep. Okay, Brian, I was, of course, brought up in Holland, on the southern part of Holland. And we are both, my wife and I are both from farm families. We had a mixed farm there, and I worked on the farm, and I worked out for a while. I even went to another province for a while before you immigrated, because we had some immigration lessons what was given, you know, by some people that belonged to our church, and so we had they encouraged us that we would go out and work on a different farm, get used to different ideas, instead of being home and listening to Dad and do what you want to do mostly.
Yeah. So your father was a farmer?
My father was a farmer. My wife's family was farmers, and we had big families. We had 9 children altogether. I had 3 brothers and 5 sisters, and Min's family was even a little bit larger than that.
And did your brothers remain in farming?
I had one brother that took over the family farm, and later on, through development, through the highways that they had to put a clover leaf in, the farm had to go away, had to leave, and they bought him out. And then the young farmer, the son of it, he bought another establishment, and he milks 150 cows now.
Ah, so the family farm isn't there anymore?
The family farm is not there anymore.
Oh,
no.
That's too bad.
No. That was too bad, yeah, but that's all right. That's, I guess, progress, isn't it? Eh?
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that. I was reading yesterday that, of course, everybody knows that the Netherlands, Holland, are the makers of the robo milkers, you know, and they have them a lot, you know, but of course we have some in Canada now too. Robot milkers?
No, that's not where they have the multiple things.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The robot milkers.
Yeah.
But one robot milker costs $250,000 in this country, and only milks about 50 or 60 cows. So if you milk 100 or 150 cows, you know, then the robot milker, you need 2 or 3 or 4 robot milkers, and that gets to be very expensive.
Yeah.
So now they have rotary milkers, and there's some rotary milkers with 12 cows on it, and some rotary milkers with 24 cows on it. And then one cow steps off, and another cow steps on, and the fella just keeps on cleaning the cows up and put the milkers on, and automatically goes into bulk tanks.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, then in 1953 is when we went to we got interested in leaving for a different country, and they figured that Canada would be most suitable for us people coming from Holland, being used to the mixed farms, and that's what we were after, you know. We were farmers, and that's the reason that we wanted to go to Canada, to become a farmer and to milk cows.
And what caused you to want to emigrate?
Well, because, like I say, you know, we wanted to farm, and the farms was too small in Holland. You couldn't buy farms in Holland, and so we was encouraged, really, with cooperation from the 2 countries to go to Canada.
So there were Canadian.
We had an agreement with Canada to set things up and to get a host family to sponsor you. And so that when you did move to a different country, you had you have your sponsor before you left.
And quite a few Dutch people came to Canada in those years.
Yeah, we had a lot of Dutch people come to Canada, and there's some real good farmers.
Quite a few in Nova Scotia too.
And Nova Scotia too, yeah.
Yeah. Because there's some over in the valley, aren't there?
There's some in the valley.
There are a couple up in Cape Breton, I know.
But there's a lot of them in Antigonish. You see, especially that area where we was from, North Brabant and Limburg, they're all Catholic. And they were looking, when they came to Canada, they were looking for a place, you know, where they would have the religion that they were used to. And there's some in the valley, they're Christian Reformed. So and they even formed their own church there.
Yes.
You know, and still have it today.
Yes.
Still have it today. Yeah.
And as you probably know, one of the men from one of the Dutch families in Cape Breton is member of Parliament now.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The family operates a large farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's pretty proud of that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And they had a big
nice family.
They had a big family too. Yeah.
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 Can I ask you? And if you don't want to talk about it, it's fine. Can I ask you about the war years?
Well, the war years, they were interesting years, you know, but when the Germans walked over Holland, we wasn't very pleased. We wasn't very pleased. And we did a lot of things that maybe we shouldn't have done, you know, with sabotage and working against the German establishment and putting things on the railroad and stuff like that. But we got hurt with that too, you know, because they couldn't control the Dutch people too well, you know. They kept doing things to make it hard for them. So then after a while, you know, they got so bad that they would take the mayor of the town or the priest of the village or something like that and put them up against the wall and say, hey, you fellas, if you don't behave and you don't tell us what happened and who did this or that, then you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
So we had to slow down a little bit, I guess.
Were you involved in any of that?
Well, I was quite young, you know, because when the war started, I was born in 1928. So in 1939, then that's when the big movement happened. We had the Dutch army getting ready, and we on the farm had a lot of extra room in barns and stuff like that. So we had a whole bunch of horses that, you know, in those days there was no trucks much or anything like that, and it was mostly on foot or on horses, and a few jeeps around, and some cannons, you know, that was hauled by the jeeps and stuff like that. But the horse movement was very big, so we had horses. The Dutch people had the same kind of a army than the Germans did, and so we had the Dutch soldiers and the horses at the farm. And I remember that really well. I remember that really well. And my dad, he was a real horseman, and he had a lot of fun with those young boys, you know, and their horses. Yeah. Yeah.
Was food a big problem in your part of the country?
It wasn't until the Germans came, and they didn't have a whole lot, you know, in Germany. It was hard times, and so German kept making more Dutch money, more Dutch paper money, and they bought the stores empty in 2 weeks' time. When they come in and they took Holland over, they emptied the stores with their Dutch money that they make. After the war, we had to turn it all in and then turn it in for some good real money again.
Yeah.
But the countryside and on the farms, we was never hungry. But the cities, they were in,
Yeah.
the big cities like Rotterdam and Amsterdam, they were in big trouble.
Yeah.
Big trouble. And especially when the war ended in 1944, and then winter came and they couldn't finish the job, and then the whole northern part of Holland was still under the Germans, while the southern part was freed. And when that happened, then that year in 1944, we had a lot of people die from hunger.
Mm.
A lot of people die from hunger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of tough for a
Well,
child.
the economy
You were-
went
you were-
all to pieces, you see, so the economy went all to pieces, so the people that was making a living, you know, didn't have nothing to do anymore, because I remember that we had a family come over and stayed with us, and they were hungry and they needed some food, and so we fed them and kept them for a while, and then they left the children behind and they went back to the city.
Yeah.
But that went on a lot.
Yeah.
We had a lot of evacuees that stayed in the back country,
Yeah.
what we call the back country.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was an interesting, and I expect a somewhat scary
Yeah, it was.
experience for a child. You
it
were
was
a young boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, and not only that, but you could see the tension on your parents too, all the time, you know.
Yeah.
And they knew what was going on, and they knew, you know, the things. Where my wife lived, which was only 10 kilometers away from where I lived, they had a big, they built a big airport, and the Germans built that. When the Germans took over, they built that great big airport, and they took the land from the farmers, and that's where they built the airport on.
Mm.
And there was a lot of bombing going on, you know, especially on the end of the war,
Yeah.
and so that was a very tense situation.
You didn't have much of that where you lived.
Oh yeah, and we had airplanes coming over. We had one airplane come down, and I bet you it was only 500 meters from home, from our home where we lived, that she fell down. And there was 9 people in it, 8 of them dead and 1 survived.
Is that an Allied bomber?
That was an Allied bomber, that was from England.
Mm-hmm.
And this fellow alive they brought in our house, and we tried to, they tried, I say we tried, but they tried to get him away, because we had places in Holland where they could stay, you know.
Mhm.
They put him underground,
Yeah.
but he didn't want to go. And he had a sign on his uniform that was indicating that he made 11 trips to Germany and with his bomber.
Hmm.
He was a pilot. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, that plane fell right close to home, and it even burnt the trees, you know, around it. Yeah.
So what happened to him? He didn't want to go with the underground?
They took him away. The Germans took him away.
They got
We
him.
never
Yeah.
heard nothing
Oh,
of him anymore since.
Yeah.
But I remember that so well, and seeing the fellas sitting in the living room, you know, and all them fellas around him, and interviewing them and asking them questions.
The Germans.
The Germans.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was quite interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think for Canadians, that sort of experience is interesting.
It is
because,
interesting, yeah.
Of course, Canada was involved in the war.
Oh,
but
yes.
the war was away over there
Yeah.
for the most part, you know,
Yeah.
except for ships on the coast. But it was the
Oh,
war wasn't here.
The
But for
Canadian
people like
soldiers,
you,
the
war
Canadian
was,
soldiers were very, very much involved.
yeah,
We had a lot of English and we had a lot of Americans, and they came through Holland and went right through the main roads, the highways, and they just kept on going. and the Germans went in the back country.
Mm.
And then after a while, the Germans had to come out again, and so they came out from both sides and came through those big highways, and that's why the Canadians happened to come, and they really had to fight. Mm. I'll tell you, those Germans, you know, they thought that it was life or death, and they just fought till the last breath.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fighting going on then. Mm-hmm. And it was the Canadians that freed us from that. Mm-hmm. Yep. And the Dutch people remembers.
Yes.
The Dutch people remember, and they have still their remembrance days, and the Canadians go over and in Apeldoorn, for instance, they have those big celebrations, and people have to stay in the houses with people. They're not allowed to go to the hotels. Oh. Yeah, yeah. If you're a Canadian in Holland, and that's maybe the reason too that we went to Canada.
Well, I was wondering if that
was familiarized. We was familiarized with the Canadians a lot better than with anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered if that was an influence.
Yeah, that certainly was an influence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly was an influence.
So you married before you came out?
Well, like I said, we was Catholic, and you wasn't allowed to get married until you had a sponsor, you know. So they don't just let you get married and then take the chances of having no sponsor. So your parents said you're not getting married unless you got your sponsor. So once we got a sponsor, then we got married. Yeah. And then a week after that we left for Canada.
Oh, wow.
And then we landed in Canada at Pier 21. Mm-hmm. And we had a placement. Our sponsor was in River John, so there was no train going to River John anymore that day. So we had to stay overnight, and then the next morning we went by train towards River John. So we went from Halifax to Truro, and from Truro to Oxford, and from Oxford to Oxford Junction, and back again to Oxford, and then slowly to Taramagos and in River John, and about 6-7 o'clock in the evening we landed in River John.
My goodness.
Yeah. That was quite a. We had a little wait over time in Oxford, I think. So we had a little lunch there. Mm-hmm. We couldn't very well order anything because we didn't know, you know, how to speak the language if it came to food too well. Yeah. But I think they made us a banana with some milk in it and a little sandwich, and away we went again.
Yeah. What were your first impressions?
Well, it was odd. It was odd because the train went all through the woods, you know, and you see those fellows with their horse and their wagon with a little firewood on it coming out the woods, and yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah, we had a big container that we brought with us, about 3 feet by 3 feet by 6 feet tall, and we had a lot of clothes in there, and we had some furniture in there, and a bed in there. And,
oh my goodness!
Oh yeah, we brought quite a bit of stuff with us when we came. Yeah. Yeah. So that came by train, of course, and it wasn't there with us, and it came later, and then we opened it up, but we should have never done it. We should have left it closed, because the place where we went to River John didn't turn out to be that well. You know, they really couldn't afford us. Mm-hmm. They really couldn't afford it. They had a small herd of cows, and we milked them. Men helped me milk the cows, and we milked them by hand. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a very, very good place to try to go and make a living. So I had a brother. Min's brother came along with us. We got married at the same day, and we all came at the same time. Oh. And he went to Shubenacadie to Duck's Night, which was a big farm, and then they found me a place in River John, which was about 10 kilometers away from Shubenacadie. Case River is Colchester County too. Yeah. So So we stayed there 2 or 3 years.
That was a bigger farm.
And that was a bigger farm, and he had a big wood lot. So we milked cows in the morning and put our axe on our shoulders, and away we went to the woods, took our lunch with us.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good place. I liked it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard
His
work.
name was Watson Benjamin. His name was Watson Benjamin.
Benjamin.
And he Benjamin, and he was a good fella. Yeah. He had a big wood lot, and we learned a lot, and we learned our ways of getting around and stuff like that.
That was a Gaze River?
Gaze River. That was in Gaze River, yeah. Yeah. And we stayed there, and we had a very small little house. And then Johnny was born, and then about a year after that, Min was pregnant again with Henry. I think Johnny was born in November in 1954, and then in 1956 we moved. We Dutch fellas got together, you know, and we talked and read the paper, and there was an advertising in from Lunenburg here on Second Peninsula that he wanted to rent his farm out. So I thought that was a good idea, you know, and so Min and I went over and we went and looked at it, and so we did that. We rented that farm. We rented the cows and the equipment and the whole works of it together. And we had a great time there. We loved it.
You rented a farm including the cows?
Including the cows and the machinery and everything with it.
Yeah.
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 And we didn't pay a lot for it either, because he wanted to get out of there, and he went to Toronto. He was a machinist or something, and so we rented the farm, and I think we paid him $100 a month.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was a great spot. It was a lovely spot.
It's a pretty spot, isn't it?
Small farm, but great neighbours, you know. There was the Stevens there, and I worked for Dave Stevens, and I worked for Andy Stevens a little bit, you know, and milked my 12, 13 cows, and we had a couple of pigs, you know, and raised the young ones. And
could you make a living with 12 cows?
well, we had 12 cows, and we had a couple of sows we bought after a while, and raised those young pigs up, and worked a little bit on the side of it. Worked for Dave Stevens a little, and for Randy. And then the second year I went with Herbie Moses and Morris Moses, and went and did some painting. We painted in Lunenburg in the town, with outdoors in the summer, and in the winter we worked inside. That was the year that the hospital was built, and we spent the whole winter there painting the hospital.
Wow.
Yep. So that worked out good.
Well, that's good for a farmer, isn't it?
For a farmer, I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
And then in '99, in the year '99, I believe it was, they came after me, and they wanted a new AI technician for Lunenburg and Queens County. You know what an AI technician is?
No.
That's the one that artificial breeding the cows.
Okay, yes.
So I thought that was interesting for me. So I went to Truro and took my course, because in those days you had to go 14 days to take a course. I got myself a helper to milk the cows, and we went to Truro, and I took the course there and came back and start doing the job in Lunenburg and Queens County. And they said, Martin, you see what you can do with it, because it was in poor shape, the organization, and you can see if you can build that up. And I think I had to pay him 50 cents per insemination, you know, for my cost. And then the rest of it, they said, you keep that. And boy, I did a good job on it, and I built the business up, and I bought myself a little Volkswagen, and that was in '59, and I don't know what I paid for it, but I think it was $1,600.
Yeah.
I think it was $1,600, and I put 50,000 kilometers on that Volkswagen every year. I traded a new one every year.
Yeah.
Yep. And did a good job. That was a good job.
Would that be a full-time job?
No, no, I still had to milk my cows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still had to milk my cows. And then
you would do that all through Lunenburg County?
All through Lunenburg County, yeah. And the farmers had till 10 o'clock to put their calls in. So I could do my work till 10 o'clock. Then I called the co-op, see what kind of calls was in, and they took all the calls. So that's what happened. I milk cows till 10 o'clock, and then I go to the co-op, pick up my calls, and there was a fellow in the feed shed that used to work for the highway, and he knew every little corner in Lunenburg County, you know, and I'll tell you, for a poor Dutchman like me, it was hard to get used to those names. Yes, you know, you had a Mervyn Meissner, and you had a Mervyn Mailman, you know, and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, I had some job with those names, and we have to go. Yeah. You know, because, you know, there's a lot of roads in Lunenburg County, and I had to get used to them all.
Yeah, and you're going to a lot of back roads to farm.
A lot of back roads.
Not just the highways.
There wasn't a road in Lunenburg County that I wasn't familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you learned English pretty fast too, didn't you?
And you learn English, you see, and men had to take the calls when after 10 o'clock, then the co-op didn't take the calls anymore. So then people still call, and they call men, and men would have to answer. So men got experience too in the different names and stuff like that. And I did that for 7 years. 7 years. I learned a lot with it, and bought a farm in the meantime. In the meantime, I bought a farm in Nukenville. And bought the cows and the machinery and the farm and everything.
That was a working farm when you
bought it?
That
was a working farm, yeah.
But that was
a turnkey operation.
Whose farm was that?
That was Ellert Zwicker. Ellert Zwicker.
He was retiring?
He was retired. He had seven boys and one girl, and not one of them would farm. So, me, of course, being a Dutchman, I thought that was okay. So I bought the farm with his cows and the machinery and everything on it.
And was that a much larger farm than what you
had? That was a good large farm, yeah. Yep.
How big would it be?
Oh, I think that he milked, I don't know how many cows he would milk in those days. It wouldn't be any more than 12 or 15 cows.
Oh, yeah. About the same size as what you had?
Well,
for cows?
Yeah. Yeah, about the same as what I had in second.
More land? A
lot more land, yeah. Had enough land to be self-sufficient, yeah.
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 So you would plant food crops just for yourselves?
No, we only planted for our livestock.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a garden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was no blueberries in those days yet, so we didn't have to establish a blueberry field or anything, because that came later.
Did you grow blueberries?
No, we never grew blueberries. No.
But you got into strawberries.
Well, later on, when I was farming, we was just milking cows, and then we had hogs, we had pigs, and so we had a dairy farm and we had hogs, and then I got really established in the country, you know. Then I had we had a good neighborhood, and we had a good farm, and I got involved with the fire department. We established a new fire department in Nukenville and district, and I was the first president of the organization. So this was pretty good.
Well, that must have been a novelty, was it, coming from Holland? You wouldn't have had volunteer fire departments, would you?
No, you wouldn't have to have fire. No firemen.
Did you feel like you were a pioneer?
Yeah, you always felt a little bit like a pioneer, is right. Yeah. But because of my work as an AI technician, and later on to get so much involved with the different organizations, you really felt like you belonged.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And you know, Lunenburg County, they you know, it's a Dutch inheritance here pretty well, you know.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe that we fitted in better than in any other area in Nova Scotia, you know, because it you was one of them. You know.
People, did you find, at least in the early years, that people perhaps assumed you were German?
I think so. I think so. They compared it. They compared it with German. Yeah.
Yeah.
We call them Dutch, you know.
Yeah.
And we were the Dutch fellas, but the Germans, you know, they were a different nationality.
Yes.
And a different breed. Yeah.
My family, going way back in the early 19th century, my grandparents used to say, well, we had there were Germans in our families. Oh,
yeah.
Really? So finally I got doing genealogical research. I traced it back. No, that's not, I'm not telling you right. They said there were Dutch people in the family. So when I traced it back, I discovered that they weren't Dutch. They were German.
Yeah.
But of course, they were popularly used this term Deutsch, you know, and they didn't understand that that didn't mean Dutch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they still don't know the difference much between Germany and Holland. They do more now, you know, because they get they get taught more in the schools about that too, you know, and stuff like that. But yeah. And I got really involved with my local organizations, you know, with the milk producers, Lunenburg County Milk Producers and Federation of Agriculture. And then later on I became a director of the Federation of Agriculture of Nova Scotia and became president of the Nova Scotia Federation of Agriculture.
Yeah. When was that?
That was in 1974.
Ah.
I was president of the Nova Scotia Federation of Agriculture in 1974-75.
That a big job?
Yeah, that was a big job, yeah. That was a big job, yeah.
What did you, well, you would represent farmers to government, I guess, would you?
That's right,
for their interests?
that's right. We were the spokes organization for the farmers of Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
Of Nova Scotia, yeah. And then later on, before that, I was president of the Nova Scotia Milk Producers. And that was a big job.
Yeah.
And not only the job, but the traveling, eh?
Yeah.
Every time you had to go to a meeting, you would have to go to Truro. And that was a big job.
Yeah.
But you get so used to that, Brian, you know. I mean, I've been involved with so many things, you know, because then the boys got a little bit bigger and I became a director of the Farmers Dairy of of Twin Cities Farmers Dairy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on that for I think 12 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was director.
Well, that's a co-op, isn't it?
That was that was the
farmers.
Yeah.
So you would be elected by the farmers.
By the farmers.
farmers.
Yeah. Of Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
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 Well,
I wasn't just representing Lunenburg County then.
Yeah.
But when you're representing Nova Scotia, on all the milk producers, you know, well, Farmers Dairy was mostly the centre and southern part of Nova Scotia, and then Scottsburn was the dairy for the Cabritton area.
Yeah. That must have been an interesting experience because
sure
you were
was.
in on the business side of it.
That's right.
As well as the producer side.
Exactly, yeah.
So you would see both sides.
That's right, right. Very interesting, yeah. And meeting the farmers, and then you would go to zone meetings, you know, and stuff like that. And yeah, very interesting.
Did you find in those days, in the 70s, were the dairy farmers struggling or were they doing well?
I think that the dairy farmers did well, and the hog producers was doing okay. You know, those commodities, beef farmers always struggled a little bit, but the whole farm community did a lot better. The industry did a lot better than what they did the last few years, because there's a real struggle lately about when I became a dairy farmer in Lunenburg County, we had 45 small milk producers that were shipping milk to our little dairy in Bridgewater. We had a little dairy in Lunenburg County the Angus Walters dairy, they called it.
Oh yeah.
You know, but it was a Lunenburg dairy.
Mm.
And today we got 3 milk producers here in Lunenburg County. There was 45 when I started here in Lunenburg, in Bridgewater area, and today we got 3 for the whole county.
And why is that? They couldn't make enough money?
Everything got mechanized, you know, and we went in bulk milk, which was a real good forward step, because we didn't have to lug milk around anymore. It was a lot cleaner. The milk was cooled a lot quicker in bulk milk. But then eventually the farms got bigger and bigger, and the dairies, they emphasized more towards the bigger producers, because the less stops they would have to make, you know, the more economical it would be. The bigger you got, the more land you need. So Lunenburg County lost a lot of dairy farmers for that reason.
Yeah, yeah, they really couldn't compete.
But you know, in those olden days, we had Ayrshire, and then some other people had Holsteins, and we did quite a job with our herd. You know, we had a real good herd of cattle. We had high producing cows. We had good production, and we sold quite a bit of breeding stock. You know, we showed cows all over the country. We distributed our cows all over. We went to the Bridgewater exhibition, Truro exhibition. We even went to Moncton, to the maritime exhibitions, and we showed cattle everywhere. And there was a program set up by the federal government. They called it the HASTE program, that all those purebred cows could be, didn't have to be, but could be under an RP program, record of performance. Is the name of the RP business, and we would have an inspector coming to the farms once a month, weigh the milk, take a sample, and they would have a machine there that they could see how much butterfat each cow gave, and it was all recorded and sent to Ottawa to the registration office, and so you had a record of performance on every cow, And
what did they do with that?
Well, you would have breeding stock, you know, that you could sell, and you had a record for each cow. So a farmer that would buy a cow could see, you know, what that cow was doing.
Yeah.
The AI units, they could pick their bull calf out of the better cows, and get a new little sire going, you know, and improve the herds that way. And it was a big thing in those days. It was a big thing.
Does that program still exist?
No. Well, it still exists, but it's you know, it automatically goes when you only got 3 producers in Lunenburg County anymore. Well, then you know what it's like. And those farmers don't even have time for that kind of stuff anymore today. You can't milk 150 cows and then take an exhibit to the exhibition and stuff like that. That don't work.
Is that a...
But that's what we call the good family herd, you know. We milk 40, 45 cows, something like that, and you could handle that alone.
Yeah.
With, you know, with a little family help, and maybe in the summer with some part-time help. And then, of course, things got mechanized a little bit better. You had your hay balers, you know, and after a while you had a wagon hanging on the back of it with a hay thrower on it that threw the bales right on the wagons. You know, so the mechanization was a big thing then that came in.
But that would also require much more capital investment, wouldn't it?
And it took a lot more capital investment. Yeah.
So then you have to produce more, or
and then we put up silage. You see, we put up big upright silage, and we go to the field with our tractors got a lot bigger over the years, you know, and the harvester would hang right behind the tractor, and the harvester would haul the wagon behind it, you know, and you pull the pin, you go to the field and you pull the pin and give them the empty wagon, and you go back with the full one, and your quality improved a lot, you know, your nutrition in that feed became a lot better than what you had before, when you had hay laying on the field and depended on weather.
Yeah.
Now you didn't depend on weather so much anymore. If it didn't rain, you could harvest.
But would that drive out smaller producers who just couldn't afford that investment?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the way things kept going, I think. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
But then the hog producers, that's a different story, because you didn't have to be that big, you know, in order to raise a dozen little pigs or something like that. We had a hog operation. We had 65 sows. You know what that is?
Mm-hmm.
That's the mother that makes the little ones.
Yeah.
So we had 65, and you call it farrow to finish. You know, so we had 65 sows that produced little pigs, and in the other barn, it was the feeder barn, so they went from one barn into the other barn, and that's what they call a farrow to finish operation. And we did that quite a few years, and it was very good.
65 sows would produce a lot of pigs.
A lot of pigs, yeah. About 15 a year per sow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you had 60 times 15 pigs, you know, you shipped a lot of pigs.
Yeah.
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 And we had a little organization going in Lunenburg County that Leroy Wynot, he was our trucker, and he trucked 4 loads of hogs per week to Larson's plant in Berwick.
Oh.
And now there's not a pig around anymore. Not a pig around in Lunenburg.
Nobody doing that in Lunenburg
No.
anymore. There's still some in Nova Scotia, I think.
Some in Nova Scotia, but not many.
Yeah.
No. I think you can count them on 2 hands.
Yeah.
There's the little abattoir in Antigonis, Tony's abattoir, they call it. That is still in existence, and those producers ship pretty well all their hogs to that, and they own the plant now. They own the plant, and they ship right to that abattoir.
Yeah, Larson's is gone now, isn't it?
And Larson's is gone,
Yeah.
but Larson's is all renovated now. The chicken producers bought that,
Oh. Yeah.
and they made they gutted it and put all new machinery in, and it's a chicken processing plant now. Very good too.
Guess that's
Very up to date.
Guess that's where the money is now, isn't it?
That's where the
Chickens?
money is.
For
Yeah.
meat producers.
My son is farming. Is a chicken farmer now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how long his barn is, but I imagine about 80 meters long and 20 meters wide, you know, and big enough that they can put 30,000 chickens in that.
And how many do they ship like once a week or?
No. They ship until they're a certain age, and
But they wouldn't all be the same age. They would.
all the same age and all the same time, and they
Oh.
all go at the same time too.
Oh, and then start all over again.
Yeah,
oh,
that's
I
not all.
see. Yeah.
Clean the barns all out, clean all the manure out,
Yeah.
and blow it all clean, and then disinfect it, pressure wash it, disinfect it, and then all new sawdust in when the barn dries out, and then there's new chickens coming in. Yep, that's the way it is going now.
That must be an awful job cleaning out that barn.
That's a big job, but
Big job.
there is no posts in it. It's so built that there's no posts in it at all. So you put a tractor in it and start working on it. Manure spreaders on the outside, the tractor on the inside, and they'll in one day they got it all cleaned out.
Oh, man.
Yeah, all cleaned out, and then they can start washing and cleaning. Yeah,
It's all so efficient now.
yeah, very efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things changed a lot. Yeah.
Well, when you started 50 years ago or so, I don't imagine you would ever have dreamed that you
No.
or your son or anybody would be processing 30,000 chickens on
No.
your property.
No, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
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 No, that's a big change, you know. You wonder sometimes it's for the better, eh? But then when you get older, you know, you got to watch out because, you know, I mean, the new generation might think it's pretty good, you know, but you know, we had a lot of small little family farms in Lundberg County. What was doing fairly good, you know. They went to the woods and they got a little bit of pulpwood or some logs, and they milked cows, and in the summer they made hay and worked the land, you know. And now everything is, you know, those small farms, they're all going to grow up in bushes.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of a sin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our dairy barn is down. We had a nice dairy barn we built in 1966. We built a nice new dairy barn, and we could milk 40 cows in there. Then we had another barn that the young cattle and the dry cows was in, and we could milk 40 cows, and all going in the bulk milker, in the milk cooler, I mean, and it was a nice operation.
Yeah.
You know,
but you gave up on it. What? Because you just couldn't make money on it anymore?
No, it just didn't. Things didn't work anymore after a while. You know, it wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
You had to go to 80 cows.
Yeah.
You know. Now the majority of farms got 100 cows now. Anywhere from 80 to 100 cows.
Yeah.
That's big operations, you know.
Yeah.
And there's hardly any room for that here in Lundberg County.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, you need a lot of acreage for,
That's right.
for the feed.
And we built a nice barn in 1966, and then we sold the cows in 1989, I think it was, and we sold the cows and the quota, and we started, Johnny started in chickens and in strawberries. And the barn slowly fell down because when there was no livestock in it anymore, and she was built out of those big blocks, and she was kind of in the bank, so the bank guy kept pushing the barn in, and after a while we said, hey, we better get a bulldozer and see what we can do here because this is not good anymore.
No. So it was your son who started the strawberries, was it?
Oh yeah, the son started the strawberries and the chickens. He
Yeah.
started everything.
Oh.
Yeah. And he's doing a good job.
Yeah.
He's doing a good job. Makes a good living.
Yeah.
And does a good job. Yeah. He looks after me good.
Well, it must be satisfying. I often think this myself. But it must be very satisfying when one of your children follows your work.
You see, that's what it was all meant for, eh?
Yeah.
That was all meant for. You came to Canada and you wanted something so that our children would have a future. And it doesn't matter where it is. If it's on the farm or if it's somewhere else. So it doesn't matter where it is. But
it must be satisfying that the farmer's carrying on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he knows how to do it.
Very satisfied.
I guess did he study at
He went to
agricultural
AC.
college? Yeah.
So he graduated from AC.
So he's learned all the modern
yeah.
ideas and technology and everything.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what they need nowadays, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Because it's a business.
It's a business.
It's a lot of technology.
Yeah. And everything's computerized. Everything is computerized in the chicken barn. the air movement, you know, from the ventilation and the heat and the feed and the water. Everything is computerized. Everything's computerized. He goes in there and he knows exactly how much water those chickens drink in that day and how much feed they eat, and it is amazing. It's amazing.
Does he start with eggs and hatches the eggs? He starts with chicks.
Chicks.
Does he?
One day chicks. They never eat before they come home. They come in small boxes, and they're small little chickens. They're only one day old. They're born in the morning, and they come in the afternoon.
Really?
Yeah.
Where would they come from?
Well, I don't know if Johnny gets them from the valley now or from Fredericton. There's a breeding herd in Fredericton, and there's one in the valley in Kentville. So either one of them they can come from. Yeah. think he gets them from the valley now.
So he gets a shipment of 30,000.
Yep.
In one day.
Yep.
That must be a busy day.
No, that only takes 2 hours. To
Yeah.
get those little chickens?
And load them into the barn and
Oh yeah,
they set up and...
Oh yeah.
Really?
There's 2-3 fellas doing that, and in an hour and a half, 2 hours, they're gone. Truck is gone. Everything's gone. It's so mechanized, everything, you know. They all come in those small boxes, and they got a piece of paper laying on the bottom, and that those chickens are in there, and they grab those boxes and dump them on in the barn on the shavings. There's a long strip of paper right through the whole length of the barn where the feed is on, so they wouldn't have to go into the feeder troughs. You know, they put it on paper. They get the paper from Bridgewater Bulletin.
Oh, yes.
I don't know what you call those.
The big rolls.
Yeah, those big rolls
yes.
of
Yeah.
paper, and they only use so much of it, and then it's too small, and so it's about 1/4 full yet, and then they sell it to John and to the other chicken producers. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's right under the feeders. You see, and then they pick that feed off of that paper, and then slowly they get their heads into the feeders.
Mm.
And those little waterers, there's a line of waterers going through the barn, you know, on 4 or 5 different places, and got little nipples on there. There's no drinkers. There's just little nipples on there, and they put the little beaks on that, and the first day they're there, they're drinking.
They figure it out.
Oh yeah, they're drinking. Yeah, and then as they grow, the feeders, Johnny gives it a crank, and then the whole thing goes up a little bit. You know, like a couple of centimeters or something like that.
Yeah.
And you know, and every day or every other day he cranks it up just a little bit.
And then when they reach the right age, I guess he has contracts, does he? With
Oh yeah, that's all contracted out. Yeah.
with meat companies or
Yeah.
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 Interesting.
Yeah.
I always think it's interesting to find out about things that are all around you, but you know nothing about.
No. No.
Yeah.
You see, they built that new plant. ACA used to own it, you know, so they bought that new plant, and they own that plant. The farmers, along with Nadeau, you know, a big company in New Brunswick, they own the plant.
Oh.
They're shareholders.
Oh.
I should say they're shareholders in it, so they're owners.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's probably a good idea.
So that's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very nice plant. Very nice plant. They just started shipping there this what is it now? Not even a year yet.
Yeah.
Last summer they started shipping.
That's the one in the valley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a lot of chickens in the valley, don't they?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good commodity, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the people like chicken, and consumption is up all the time, and you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so common, isn't it? We eat it so commonly.
And it's so easy for the housewives, for the families, and you know, you take a chicken and you can cut that up, and I mean, you don't have this big old piece of beef there, you know, and you know, it's very economical for the housewives and families.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you take a chicken breast, you know, you can buy chicken breast, you can buy a whole chicken, you know.
Yeah.
And then you can make sandwiches out of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's and it cooks easily.
And it cooks easy, yeah. And a man like you and I can even learn to cook chicken, you know.
I can even cook chicken.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Yeah.
But they give you a piece of beef, and it's not necessary.
Not so sure. Not so sure with that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, now you were involved, you mentioned being involved with the Federation of Agriculture and things of that sort. You were also involved with the exhibition.
Yes.
Were you not, for many years?
Yes. Yeah, I was showing cattle at the exhibition. I was an exhibitor, and then got interested in it, and I was on the board of directors for a while, and there were some interesting people there. And
when were you on the board?
I think in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
The 80s.
That would have been when Barry Roffey was on
Yes,
the board as well.
yes,
wasn't
Barry
it?
was on,
Yeah.
on the board too.
I
Yeah.
talked to him about that, especially organizing the parade.
Yeah, they were quite the characters.
Yeah.
Barry Rovies and George Lone, George Zimmerman, and God, boy, they were some fellas. But they were good business people, and they did a good job. I never liked the exhibition too much. You know, I never enjoyed being on the exhibition board too much.
No, why not?
No, not like the milk producers and the federation. And I was on the board of directors of the Ayrshire Breeders of Nova Scotia, and I became a member of the board of the Ayrshire Breeders of Canada, and I became president for a year. You know, I'm more interested in the business part than the exhibition part of it.
But the exhibition originally was supposed to be a farmer's exhibition.
Yes, it was
wasn't
a farmer exhibition, and it was a good exhibition, and it was something for people to come and look at it. It was clean, but today it's nothing anymore. It's
really not much to do with the
No,
farmers, is it?
no.
4-H is
No.
really the main
4-H
thing.
is doing a good job, yeah.
Yeah.
4-H is doing a good job, and they have some livestock there too.
Yeah. Do you think part of the problem is that most people in the area are not connected to farms
No, that's right.
anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, myself, for example, really know nothing about farming. And if I go to the exhibition, we always like to walk through the barns.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we're just walking past cows. Like,
Yeah.
if somebody was there like yourself or something who said, well, now let me explain.
Well, that's
let
what
me tell
we
you about this.
But that's what we usually
That would
do.
be interesting.
Hey, that's what we usually do, though. Now, you know, that's what our job. We spend a lot of time behind those cows talking to people.
Yeah.
You know, and people get interested in it. And then when milking time comes, you know, and you start milking cows, and then the mothers with the little babies come and they say, that's where the milk comes from, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The emphasis now, I think, is really on the midway, isn't it? On
Oh, yeah,
entertainment.
absolutely, yeah. Like you say, the Midway and Oxpool, well, we got Oxpool here in Lunenburg County, you know.
Yeah.
But other areas don't have oxen,
Yeah.
like we do. But they have a hard job now, too, to keep on going. Yeah.
Yes, you get that impression.
Yeah, they have a hard job now.
Barry was saying that back in the 70s and 80s, it was very profitable. The exhibition was very successful.
Yeah, they could. They put on a big show, get all the big stars coming to Bridgewater, and
He was saying that. I
and
didn't know that.
they packed that exhibition just as full. Yeah. But times is changing, Brian. Times is changing. You know, it's a different, and it's all over the world. Eh?
Yeah.
I mean, you go back to Holland now, and you see them farming there, and it's the same thing as here. You don't know. You know. I mean, I picked up milk in Holland, you know, with my horse and wagon, and took it to the dairy, and I think that, I don't know how many farms I had, but it was only 2 or 3 cans per farm, you know, until and then the wagon was full, and then you take off for the factory. And my neighbor did it the next day. We did it every other day.
Mm-hmm.
And today, you don't find any dairy farmers there anymore either.
No?
No. They're just the same as here. They're all big. They're all big and very far spread apart.
Yeah.
And all bulk milk, and the big truck comes in and sucks the milk out, and away they go.
It's all like industrialized now, isn't
Yeah,
it?
everything's industrialized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They claim that people, I suppose, would claim that working on a big scale makes it more efficient, but I always wonder if it doesn't increase the costs a lot, too.
I think that your milk is a lot better and a lot cleaner now than it was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Has to be. Has to be. If you sit there and you sit there trying to strip it out of a cow by hand, you know, or even a milker, and then put it in a can, you know, I think the bigger you are, the cleaner it is.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Maybe there, to a certain extent, you know, maybe 80 cows is more personal and better handling than 150. I don't know. I seen those robot milkers, and you come to the farm and there's nobody in the barn. They're out in the field working or they're in the house drinking coffee, and the robot milker is milking the cow.
Oh, so it doesn't even need somebody
Don't need nobody there.
to make the connection or anything?
No, they milk day and night.
Oh, so the cows
And
just
the-
learn to
And it's
go to the machine when they're ready?
well, and they like a bite to eat, eh? So, and if you got a cow that's fresh and she got a lot of pressure on the others, you know, she likes to go there and get rid of that milk, and she gets a bite to eat. You know, the robot,
So the cows just do it themselves?
they do it all themselves.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they do it all themselves.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah, they even wash their cows. The robot milker, when the cow comes in and she steps on that robot milker, she has to step on that robot milker because she's going to get feed. So she steps in that milker, on top, over that milker, and she goes to the feed trough. The door closes, she sits there, the washer comes and sprays it all off. And then the inflations come and they go on the teats until the cow is empty, and then they fall down again.
And then what do? Cut off the food so the cow will leave?
Well, in the meantime, the cow got the food all eaten, you know, because you
only a
only
certain
give,
amount there,
give them only small amounts. and if you got a cow that don't milk very much, and she would like to go in there and eat, but her necktie that she got on and her number won't open the door because she got her feed for the day or for so many hours.
Yeah.
Yep. And then if you got a fresh cow, she can go she maybe get milked 3 or 4 times a day.
Oh, yeah.
Because she gets full, she wants a little bit of feed to eat, and she goes to the milker, and gets milk, and away she goes. Yep.
Boy, that's mechanization, isn't
That's
it?
mechanization.
Yeah.
And then I think there's an hour that the doors all close, and everything gets cleaned up. You know, the milk line gets cleaned up, and the inflations gets cleaned up, and then an hour after that they can start again.
It just sprays itself automatically.
The whole thing gets cleaned up. Yeah. Amazing, yeah.
Yeah. Big investment though.
Big investment, big investment.
So you really have to have a lot of cows.
If you got the rotary milker, where I tell you with 24 cows walking on, that you need 1 or 2 people in the rotary milker, but it won't take very long. But it's really more efficient than the robot milker because you can milk a lot more cows. You know, you can milk 150 cows in 2 hours, and that's all over again. You see.
Hmm. Yeah.
Then you wash up and you clean the stalls up and the pipeline up and yep.
But that's your morning gone.
Huh?
That's your morning gone if you're
That's
working
right.
on the farm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. But if you got 150 cows, you know, then one fella, that's putting you all he can do.
Yeah.
Is milk cows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes, you know, you got 2 fellas and the one milks in the morning and the other one milks in the night.
Yeah, I was going to say they probably milk twice a day, don't
Yeah,
they?
milk
Yeah.
twice a day. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Some three times a day.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, but the robot milker is the one that catches your eye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that must be funny to watch.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah. Yeah. So you didn't find the exhibition being on the board.
No, I wasn't big on that.
Wasn't interesting.
Not like
it wasn't
Barry
the
and-
kind of thing you were interested in.
No, not that kind. No,
Because it wasn't focused enough on agriculture.
I think so. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
It was more a business. How do we?
Yeah, that's right. An entertainment thing.
Yeah.
It was an entertainment thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do,
Yeah,
do other farmers feel that way? Do you think?
There is some of them that likes it and that's got enough. Yeah, there's some people that like it.
Yeah.
They like the idea of entertainment, you know. There's still some farmers on that now that likes being on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never crazy about it.
Yeah.
No, I was never crazy. No.
Were you ever involved with 4-H?
I was in the olden days, when my children was young, we had some 4-H calves and I was involved with 4-H, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where does 4-H come from? I mean, is it sponsored by a farmers organization or is it?
Yeah, it started with farmers organization and then the Department of Agriculture kind of took over and helped out and has a 4-H representative, you know, that can handle that better and can teach children better than the farmers could themselves. Mm-hmm. So now it's pretty well sponsored. But Brian, there are so many people now that don't know nothing about farming that's involved in 4-H.
Really?
Oh yeah, but they still learn a lot. You know, with public speaking and
well, crafts and things.
And crafts and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing for that. It's a good thing for that.
It's good for the children, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
You know, gets them exposed.
Yeah, I think that you can notice it for the rest of their life when they've been involved with 4-H.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What does it teach them?
Huh?
How can you tell that? What does
I think that they're more developed and there's more leadership in them and stuff like that.
Yeah. We enjoyed, my wife and I always enjoyed the exhibition, looking at their exhibits, you know, their craft work and their
Oh no, the
painting
4-H do a nice job.
And,
they do a nice job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way they encourage them, like with, well, I call them pet animals, not really pets, I guess, but various chickens or things.
No, that's right. That's right. It's I like the 4-H barn and I like the 4-H programs.
Yeah.
You know, and there's so many things that they can do. Eh? I mean, you can have a horse exhibit, you can have calf exhibits, you can have a handicraft. You got public speaking, you got all kinds of stuff. Eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good program. And the government put quite a little bit of money in that. They know.
I guess.
They know that it's a good program, you know. And there is a 4-H representative, you know, that comes and help out and stuff like that.
Do you feel that governments, I guess I'm thinking about provincial governments, not necessarily the current one, but provincial governments, do you feel in the last few years, the last 20, 30 years, that they're sufficiently committed to helping the agricultural community, or has their orientation changed?
Well, you always think that the government could do more, you know, but I don't know, you know. The agriculture can do a lot for themselves too. Eh? They shouldn't always be looking for handouts, should they?
No.
But you need, the farmers need some leadership too, you know. And we used to have an agricultural office and a representative in each county. But now there's only 2 or 3 of them anymore in the province of Nova Scotia. You got one in eastern Nova Scotia, you got one in central Nova Scotia, and you got one in the valley, and that's about it. That's all your reps you got.
And what do they do?
But then again, well, they organize things if you want a local meeting, or if you want a study program going, you know, on bookkeeping, for instance, or stuff like that. They set that up. You know, we used to have a milk producers organization and a hog producers organization and a beef producers organization, but now everything's computerized.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you want to know something, then all you have to do is go to the office and start your computer up and Google something in there, and it'll come right in front of you.
Yeah, It's true, isn't it?
So you don't need to go to town anymore and have meetings and sit there and yak and talk and
Yeah. What do you think about the trend that seems to be developing for farmers markets? Like we have
That's
a
a big
small
thing.
one in Bridgewater now, a bigger one in Lunenburg, big one in Halifax.
Big thing now.
Are farmers benefiting from that?
Yeah, but not many.
Not many?
Not many farmers will benefit from it.
Why not?
Because they're, you know, I mean, if you got farmers market in Lunenburg or Mahone Bay or Bridgewater, and you got 3 farmers there with produce, they're competing among each other.
Yes.
You know, and they better cooperate with each other. Otherwise, one fellow will undercut the other one.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
So there's not many people that can benefit. I went to farmers markets quite a bit, you know, in the olden days,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked it. You know.
Yeah.
I liked selling them, but there was always somebody there that tried to undersell you.
Sure. Yeah. And of course, customers want that.
Yeah, and customers want that, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. So there's only room, if you got a farmer's market, there's only room for about 3 of them.
Yeah. Unless maybe they specialize.
Unless they specialize. If you have honey, or if you have jam, you know, and cheese, you know, I don't know you're allowed to sell that, I don't think you would. But, you know, that would make a bit of a difference.
Yeah, the like one who comes to the Bridgewater one, his is all organic.
Yeah.
But I don't think the other one, well, the heads are there and they're not organic, so if you want organic, you're going to buy from this fellow. And if you don't care, you buy.
But that organic stuff, Brian, that's a far-fetched something too, eh? I mean, if you want to be an organic farmer, you have to be certified, eh?
Yes.
Then you got to be certified, and you got to be a certified organic farmer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you can't call yourself, if you have a little garden in the back, about an acre or something like that, and you start growing stuff, you can't call yourself an organic farmer if you don't buy any fertilizer, if you don't buy any pesticides. You still can't call yourself an organic farmer, although that you are, you know, in a sense. But you got to have certain certifications that you go under. You know, you got to have so many years that you've been inspected, and that you don't use any chemicals or any herbicides or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But there seems to be a market for it.
oh yeah, there's lots of people that pay extra money for it.
Yeah, yeah. What about this local food?
But the organic farmers would never be able to feed our people, our Canadian people.
No.
If all went organic, we'd be done. We'd be finished.
No, they couldn't produce enough, could they?
They couldn't produce enough.
That's the problem.
Couldn't produce enough.
Yeah. Although it's very big in Europe now, isn't it? The organic.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking mainly of England, where we go to England sometimes, and we notice that if you go into a supermarket, big store, the organic section in the produce is very large. And the prices, there's not a big difference in the prices the way there is here between the organic and the non-organic. It's a little bit higher, but
not all that big.
not a whole lot, you know.
No.
And so it's you know, more people can afford to buy it if they care about that.
But if they're registered organic farmers, and they can still use something, eh? There's a certain amount that they can use at a certain times and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if they would get a little bit more ease on that, you know, that they ease up on those restrictions, you know, then maybe it could come, you know, that eventually, you know, if they say, for instance, you know, if you're an organic farmer and you would use and if you would use manure from the chicken barn where there was chemicals put in the feed, for instance, that manure you can't use.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
If you had cows in the barn, and they would have anything in that feed at all, you know, that feed came from grain that had weed killer on, for instance, while it was growing.
Mm.
You know, you're going to use it.
Yeah.
And there's no way that you could expect to be able to feed the people that way.
No, there'd just be too much wastage, wouldn't there?
Too much waste.
Loss, yeah.
And not enough production.
Yeah.
You go to an apple orchard where they're not using any chemicals, any sprays or anything, and look at that apple.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy biting in it?
No, the trees can't survive, can they?
No, they can't survive.
Not on any scale.
The insects will eat that tree alive. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you go to the back country, you see wild apples, don't you? All kinds of wild apples. They're tiny, they're little. They got all kinds of spots on it from blight. You know,
Yeah.
and am I going to bite in that thing?
Yeah, it's a dilemma.
Huh?
Unless they can come up with chemicals that are less harmful, but
Yeah,
maybe they will.
if you can kill anything with soap water, you know,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah,
I don't know. You have to spray it every other day, though, wouldn't you?
probably. Yeah, be very expensive apples. Probably.
Yeah, it would be very apples. Yeah.
What about the local? This thing about eating local, only buying things that you can get from farms within your area. That's becoming very popular.
No, local. If you buy produce from the valley, for instance, that's still local.
Sure.
You know, or trio, that's still local. I think that's a good things.
Problem is we've grown accustomed to supermarkets, haven't we?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like we go into the grocery store.
If you go to Sobeys now and you go look at the apples, where they all come from.
Yeah.
You know.
Sure. Well, you could get local ones, but they've been in storage for several months.
Yeah, but nothing wrong with that. Because all those apples that you buy from Chile and California, they're all being in storage too.
I suppose. Yeah.
Those apples in the valley, when they're in the low temperature and circulated air, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just as good as a fresh apple.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking in terms of other things, like if you go into the grocery store in the middle of January and you see fresh strawberries from South
California,
America or something, you
yeah.
think, gee, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
But they tend to be expensive, and really they don't tend to have much flavor either. Whereas really, you'd be better off if you just bought strawberries when they're in season.
Oh yeah, I put them in the
fresh.
freezer. I put them in the freezer.
Yeah.
Oh yes. And then when the snow is flying, you go to the freezer and take a box out, and yeah. That's the thing to do, Brian.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what my people do.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what our people do. Oh,
but you have to discipline yourself to resist.
Yeah.
Because we go to Florida in March, and that's strawberry season in Florida. That's when they come in, and big strawberry farms.
Big strawberries, yeah.
And so the stores are full of them, and they've got them on really good prices and everything for while the crop is really coming in. So of course you're from Canada, and I just come down out of this winter weather, and you say, oh my goodness, and you buy these, and they have no flavor.
No.
I think they've kind of forced them to grow faster than they wanted to or something, and they look good, but they're not good.
Now Lunenburg County is quite it's a different breed of people, eh? Mm-hmm. But boy, they like to pick strawberry, and they can pick strawberry, Brian. I'll tell you. You know those people, and there's hundreds of them, and they, hi Martin, how are you? And I haven't got a clue who they are, you know. But I see them every year, you know.
You get a lot of people, do you?
And we get a lot of people, yes. Yes, a lot of people. Well, we got about 10 acres that we pick. 10 acres of strawberries that we pick. And those people, they come, boy, and we got a website. And they're on that already in June, you know, the middle of June. They start entering into that website and find out when the strawberry, and then phone calls, you know.
Yeah.
And then we put an answering machine on it, because it's just no way that you can handle all that stuff, you know.
Yeah. So you
and then when the season starts, sometimes you got 100 cars, you know, that comes in one day.
Wow.
Before noon.
Yeah. Well, you want to do it in the morning, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so you have 10 acres of strawberries, and it's all you pick.
All you pick.
You don't market it.
Never market a strawberry.
You find at the end of the season that they're gone? I mean,
yep.
There's not much left over.
Well, what's left over will rot, eh?
Yeah.
But you know that you have a few rotten ones already, you know, after the third picking,
sure.
After the second and third picking.
Sure.
Well, but then they didn't pick them good enough, did they?
Yeah, pick the easy ones.
We can't help that, can we?
Picking strawberries is hard work.
It's hard work.
Because you're bending over.
Yeah,
I like to pick raspberries because I can stand up.
Yeah. Yeah. But we never pick any.
No.
Say, Martin, you going to come and help me? Or John, are you going to come and help us pick strawberries? Did you read the sign by the road? It says you pick.
Yeah. But you must go pick some for yourself, though.
Oh,
for the house.
I do for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that Johnny and Kathy got too many in the freezer. I don't know if they get somebody to pick them for them once in a while or not. I pick mine usually, myself.
Well, it's nice to get them fresh.
But if I got a young fella there with me, helping with it, you know, I always have my little truck and I sit in the tailgate, you know, and I talk to people and sell them a few empty boxes, you know, that they need, or I give them some flats, and then I usually got a young fella with me, you know, that's too young to go in the field, and they get trained that way a little bit already, you know, and then I'll tell one of them before I go home, I say, go pick me 2 boxes or 3 boxes of strawberries, and then I'll go home, and then they can handle it by themselves, and they get a chair there, and they sit on it. And they do the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're training them.
Yeah, I train them, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's the next
generation. We got some good help. Some good people. Yeah.
Local people that...
All local people, yeah. All local people, yeah. Yeah. School is out, you see.
Yeah.
School is out, and they love to make $1, and they get $10 an hour to pick strawberries. Or help people get, you know, in the field where to pick, and then they have to go through the row and find out, you know, how much, where they have to move the flag, eh? They take a flag with them, and then when they're done picking, they're supposed to put the flag there.
Oh, I see. So people know that area's...
So then the young people working there, they got to put the new pickers that comes in to the flag. Tell them how to do it.
Oh, that's a good system.
Like that. Yeah.
That's a good system.
Yeah, works good. Works good. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that you have young people who work for you, and you find them good, because what we hear, you know, in the news and that, is that farmers can't get workers.
No.
People don't want to work.
No. Well, this here is a different work, though. Eh? I mean, it's a short season, and usually, you know, you start in the morning and you start picking, and you pick till noontime, and then you pick again from 5 till 8 or 9, you know, so it's a different, and it's usually your own kind of people, you know, your friends' daughters and sons, and Devon is a teacher, and other teachers' kids come, and the kids from school come, and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
We got good people,
Yeah.
We always got some teachers in the field. You know, they're off in the summer, and they come and help us with the strawberries. And then they do a little bit of work in between too. You know, and the new plants got to go in.
Oh yeah.
You know, we plant 25,000 new plants every year.
Oh yeah.
And after they're growing a little bit, then they go in through with the wiggle hole, what we call a wiggle hole behind the tractor, and there's one fella sitting on the machine, and he just wiggles around, goes very slow, and he just cultivates through the rows, and then he hauls the machine apart when it comes to the plant, and then back again, you know, right around the plant.
Oh.
And then they do maybe 10 rows, and then the driver goes on the machine, and the machine operator goes to the tractor, and they change back and forth that way.
Mm.
And it's a slow job. They don't get, you know.
So that would represent 25,000 plants. New plants every year would represent just a fraction.
Yeah, that would be about 1/3 of our strawberries, because we keep them for 3 years. So the new plants would take up the land for about 1/3.
Yeah, you pull out the old ones.
And then
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you figure 3 years is about all they're good
That's
for.
about all we can handle them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're, you know, they're hard, too hard to keep clean.
Mm-hmm.
And they get old, you know, and then the strawberries get smaller.
Hmm.
3 years, you can grow them 3 years and have a good plant and a good crop.
Mm. Yeah.
And then you got a good year, then you got a bad year. Eh?
Yes. Yeah.
Last year was not a good year,
No.
but it was not a bad year. But it was just a fair crop.
Yeah.
It was very short.
Yeah. Yes, it did seem to be
Yeah,
short last
very
year.
short.
Yeah. Of course, if you get a summer with a lot of rain, that's a problem too, isn't it?
Well, I mean, if they would divide it a little bit better, you know, if they would give it to us when we needed it, and keep it the heck up there when we don't need it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if the strawberries get really wet and don't get picked, then they rot.
Yeah, then they rot. Yeah.
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 And if they're that rot, if they're that wet, then you got trouble with your cars parking and
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you know they're not all drivers that used to go into the grassland and park their car. You know,
Yeah.
some of them, by golly, there's some. They learn though. They learn, and we have people parking. You know, we always have people parking.
Yeah.
They don't just park anywhere. We're very fussy with that.
They just park along the road, do they? Or?
We'll park them anywhere that we think we can park them.
Yeah.
And we have gravelled roads in the field.
Oh.
Oh, we got gravelled road in the field, yeah.
Mm.
And then we park them off of that. And then we like to park them downhill,
Yeah.
with their nose downhill.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting life, isn't it?
It's an interesting life. It's a nice commodity, you know. It fits in nice with growing chickens.
Yes.
You have plates, you know, we put a good load of manure on it and harrow it in and work it in. And then we work that land for 2 or 3 years and then slowly we come back again.
Mm-hmm.
Plant another crop.
Yeah. You've had an interesting life.
Yeah, yeah,
Little did you know when you
that's right.
when you
That's right.
started out.
It's always been good, Brian. It
Yeah.
was I bought a farm in a nice spot, good area. Very pleased with that yet.
Mhm.
Yeah. And things has worked out right.
Yeah.
Things has worked out right. Yeah. I got one son on the farm, and he's the smartest, I think, of the whole family. I got one farmer one son that's secretary manager of the Federation of Agriculture,
Oh.
all the farmers of Nova Scotia, Nova Scotia Federation of Agriculture, and he's the secretary manager. I got one fella that's the third son working for Hershey's, and he makes chocolates.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Where's that? Up in Ottawa?
yeah, that's in
Or
Toronto.
Oh, in Toronto.
Toronto, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
He's the chocolate man. Got a good job there. He's in management there.
Yeah.
Yeah. They bought Brooks Candy,
Mm-hmm.
and they merged that in, and he was responsible for all that. And
So you have a good supply of chocolates then?
yeah, I got a good supply of chocolates. Yeah, yeah. Then I got a daughter that was a court recorder, and now she's, I don't know what you call her now, but anyway, she's there in administration in the courthouse, in the new courthouse.
Here in
Yeah.
town? Oh, yes.
So the kids all did well, you know.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
things worked out good. Things
Yeah.
worked out really good. You know.
Yeah. And you still have family in Holland.
And the grandchildren, they're all smarter than Mum and I, you know. So
They seem to be, don't they? The younger
yeah,
ones?
they're a lot smarter.
They seem to learn things
than-
faster,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I got.
But they don't have your years of wisdom yet. That'll come.
Yeah, but they don't think they need that anyway.
No, they don't know.
You don't need that anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
No, things going good. Yeah. We're very happy here. Very happy here. And we like to stay in the house as long as we can.
Yeah.
Yep. And like I say, Johnny's doing a good job. A good job farming, and he looks after me really well.
That's good.
Yeah, he looks after me really well.
Does he live up on the farm himself, or?
He lives just past my place
Mm-hmm.
on the left, where
Oh.
the U-pick sign
You
is.
pick sign. Okay. Yes.
That's what he
yeah.
does.
Okay.
He got a really nice spot there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice to be up on a hill, isn't it?
Yep.
The farms in Lunenburg County normally are up on hills, aren't
Yeah.
they?
And then his daughter lives on the end of the strawberry lane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you go through the strawberry field, you have to come and pick strawberries next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should try it.
You can always come and sit in the tailgate.
I could just sit there and
on
talk
my,
to you.
on my truck and,
Yeah.
and talk to
My
me.
wife will pick
And
strawberries.
your wife picks a couple of boxes of strawberries, and then you go right out through the woods, you know, and then on the end, that's what Julie built a house.
Ah,
Johnny's son.
that sounds
And that's
nice.
where they put their little checkout point there,
Oh.
where the people pay, you know.
Mhm.
They can't go nowhere because there's just one little road there that goes past his
Yeah.
little house, and there they are. And then they come on the Chelsea Road.
Oh yeah.
They come on the Chelsea
Yeah.
Road.
So the U-pick isn't where you live. It's that one on the other side.
the road, yeah.
Right.
I think that's where we keep it.
Yeah.
That would be too complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much traffic.
And the big hill and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Now they can go in nice. John bought the Newcomb farm next door to her. He
Mhm.
bought that whole farm, and now you see now the strawberry pickers can all go around, and they go in and go all around and come out on the Chelsea Road.
Mm.
And it's very nice.
Yeah.
That makes it really good.
You got a big property there then.
It's a big property, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big property.
Nice view too.
And a nice view.
Yeah.
You didn't see it yet.
No, but just from your place I could see.
Oh,
You know. but-
You come over. Next year you come over.
yeah.
Yeah.
My
If you-
wife would love that. She
if
loves
you-
to pick
if you
strawberries.
if you don't like to pick strawberry, I'll get a young fella to go and pick a couple of boxes for you.
My wife likes to do it.
Oh well, that's
Right,
great.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great then, isn't it?
yeah.
Yep.
I always think, if I have to spend hours bending over to do that, I don't know if I want to do. But a couple of boxes.
But you know, they're on hills about that high.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you don't have to go down that, all the way down. Because they're all on hills.
Yeah.
And we put straw on them in the fall, in the late fall or winter, and then in the spring we put all the straw into the rows. We got a little rotary that takes all the straw off and all. So the hills are up there with the strawberries, and down in the furrows it's all full of straw. So you lay your knees in there and you lay down,
yeah.
and you pick a little bit.
Pick a few, eat a few.
Yeah, no, you eat a lot. First going off, you eat a lot until
Yeah, you have to
until
test
they're full.
them.
You got to test them.
Got to
yeah.
make sure they're okay.
Sure,
Yeah.
that's true. That's what we always say to the people, and we always tell them, and make sure that your box is full.
Yeah.
Fill them up,
Yeah.
all you can get in. But then some people, they put them in the trunk of the car, and then they get another flat, and then they dump them all over it. Yeah, that's not good. Then
There's
you can't.
always
then,
some people like
Then you
that.
can't see the edges of the box anymore. That's not good.
No. Yeah.
Then Kathy says, "Hey, I think you're overdoing it. I can't see the side of the boxes anymore. So I got to charge you for more. Otherwise, they keep getting worse. Eh?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Yeah.
You got,
Some people want to get
handling
away
the public, is quite a thing.
Yeah.
And keep it friendly,
Yeah.
and keep them enjoying it. That they keep coming back,
Yeah.
It's very important.
Oh yeah.
Very important. Yep.